Hi, I'm Lizzie and this is Laura, and we have just returned from a cruise on board P&O's Iona visiting the Norwegian Fjords.
In this video, we're going to be giving you a full review of what we thought of the cruise and Iona itself.
The cruise departed from Southampton and the stops were Stavanger, Olden, Helisild and Haugesund.
If you're not already, please do make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on anything we get up to on future cruises. And you can also find plenty of content on our channel about P&O Iona.
The Norwegian Fjords is not a new destination for us. In fact, this is our 5th time of sailing there. Previously, we have sailed on board Holland America's Rhindam, P&O's Britannia, P&O's Aurora and P&O's Iona. It is a destination that we will never tire of, and because we have expressed our love for the scenery so much, our mum and dad were both keen to come with us this time. We were excited for them to travel with us and for them to give us their opinion on the cruise too.
As there were 4 of us travelling, we decided the easiest way for us to get to Southampton would be by using the coach service. We didn't have a car that was big enough to fit all 4 of us in, plus our luggage. So we would have had to have taken 2 cars if we weren't travelling by coach. We booked a select fare, so then that meant we could choose to either have car parking, coach fare or extra onboard credit as part of that booking. We chose the coach as part of that deal.
If you book through P&O, you need to contact Intercruises, so you need to make sure you do this, otherwise you will not get your space on the coach. At the time of booking, we were unaware of what time we would be picked up from the services, and we needed to wait till closer to our sail date.
When we did receive our coach booking information, we were notified that our pickup time would be 12:45. We live in Birmingham, so we thought this was extremely late for our transfer to start from Birmingham to get us down to Southampton in time for boarding. The final boarding time on board Iona is 4:30 p.m, so this did not give a lot of leeway for things like traffic problems, or even if there'd been an accident or something like that whilst on the motorway. One of the benefits of booking a coach transfer with P&O is that the ship will wait for you if you are late to the port. So it didn't fill us with too much dread, but we were a bit uneasy about that late pickup time. Normally we'd have travelled to Southampton the night before, and if not, we'd have set off very early in the morning for what's usually about a 2.5-hour drive.
As we were reliant on a lift to the service station, we got there just around 12 o'clock, which we know was earlier than we needed to be there. However, we thought that the coach would also get there early and it would mean we could get our luggage on there. While we were standing in the queue with quite a few other people, I noticed on the Facebook group that there'd been an accident on the A34, and in fact this meant that the road had been closed. There were lots of people in cars who were panicked about not getting to the ship on time, and they were all very hopeful that that meant coaches would also be stuck in the traffic, so then they would be able to board when they got to the ship. The coach didn't even arrive at 12:45. In fact, it arrived about 7 minutes later than it should have done. The coach driver then put all of the luggage onto the coach. While I was getting on, I asked the coach driver if he knew about the accident, and he said he was unaware of it, but he would see what would happen.
We finally departed about 30 minutes later than scheduled at 1:15 from the services. The coach driver didn't change the journey despite knowing that there had been an accident, which meant we did inevitably get stuck in the traffic. We sat in the traffic jam for a little while, and then that did mean that we were late arriving. We weren't particularly, I suppose, stressed out by this because, like I say, we knew that the ship would wait and wouldn't depart without us, but it just wasn't, I suppose, the best experience and the best start to our holiday. It did also mean that when we arrived at the terminal building, the staff there clearly wanted to have finished their shift and wanted to go home, so they were quite brisk with us, shall we say. They were rushing us through. We desperately needed to use the toilet as we'd just been sat on a coach for all of that time, and they were trying to usher us straight up to check-in without letting us use those facilities. But we did then get through check-in very quickly because there was nobody else around. This also meant that as well as check-in being very quick, security was also super quick because there was nobody else around, just the people that had been on our coach, which wasn't full. So we headed straight on board the ship. It did mean that our first day started very late and we felt very rushed once we were on board Because of this and these late pickup times, we probably wouldn't choose to use the coach again when travelling from Southampton, as it did sort of ruin our first day for us.
As we were so late getting onto the ship, the muster drill then seemed very rushed. We headed straight to our muster station and had our boarding pass scanned, and then went down to our cabins. When we went into the cabins, because we were so late, the safety video was no longer being shown. However, it is important to note that you can find the safety video on your TV at any time during your cruise, so it was easy enough for us to just find it and put it on. The ship-wide announcement was made when we had got to our cabins, so that shows how quick it all happened. The ship-wide announcement gives all the information that you will need in case of any type of emergency. We are great fans of P&O's muster drill because we far prefer this than having to stand outside on a promenade deck in rain, or if it's too hot, or having to go and sit somewhere with your life jacket on. We just find this way is far more efficient and easier.
Iona's cabins are very well appointed and modern, and we both really like the cabins on board Iona. On this sailing, we stayed in an inside cabin, which was comfortable and served us well for our requirements. Our parents stayed in a balcony cabin and they really, really liked it. We do have full cabin tours available on our channel, so give those a watch if you want to find out more about what we thought. Both of the cabins that we stayed in were very close to the front of the ship. This meant that it was a really quiet area to stay in. The only issue that we really had in terms of noise was that we did have noisy neighbours, which is something you obviously can't predict when you're choosing your cabin location. We also found the lighting inside the inside cabin to be quite dark. A controversial part of Iona's cabins is that there aren't any drawers. We've got used to this now that we've sailed on Iona and Arvia a few times. So we always take packing cubes with us. We use packing cubes anyway, and these fit really nicely onto the shelves.
Iona has now been sailing for 3 years. We were lucky enough to sail on her second cruise, which was Embarkation. So we were expecting to see some signs of wear and tear now. This was definitely not the case in the public areas, such as the bars and restaurants. However, we did spot quite a few problems in the toilets. There were quite a few occasions when we would visit a toilet and they would be blocked or shut off, and some of them were seen to be closed for quite a considerable amount of the cruise. Often the soap dispensers would not work as well, and you would have to try them all to see which one you could get the soap out of. We presume that these things will be sorted out when it goes into dry dock soon. Overall, we really love Iona's decor, we love how modern it is, and we feel very comfortable on board the ship.
This sailing was during school holidays. As you'll find out, we always cruise during school holidays because of Lizzie's job.
Well, my school holidays, they might not be everyone's.
This meant that the atmosphere on board the sailing was very family orientated. There were lots of children on board, but we didn't find that this bothered us at all. The children were all very well behaved, and it was generally a really friendly cruise. There were lots of people stopping and chatting to each other, and everybody seemed to be having a great time. It wasn't the same sort of party atmosphere that we experienced in the Caribbean on Arvia in February. It was a bit more relaxed, but it was still very social.
There is definitely a shortage of staff on board, which is especially noticeable in the bars and the restaurants, which means they cannot always give the service that if you sailed on board P&O ships a long time ago you would be used to, or the service that they themselves would like to give. It is very apparent when you are trying to get served for a drink that there aren't enough staff, and sometimes this may lead to queues at the bar and long waiting times. Brody's is now bar service only, again showing how there are fewer staff on board the ship.
On an evening, you'll find that the cabin stewards are working around the ship, cleaning public areas and supporting in the dining room. So this means there's no longer a turn-down service on P&O ships.
The staff themselves are all pleasant and hard-working, but you don't seem to be able to get the opportunity to have a little chat with them anymore because they are just so busy. We feel that this is the area where P&O is massively letting itself down, as employing staff would mean that customers would be far happier and their revenue would definitely increase because there'd be more drinks sold. People sometimes give up trying to get a drink because of the wait.
One caveat to this point on service is that we're well aware that the prices of P&O cruises haven't increased massively since the pandemic. So we're paying similar amounts for cruises now than we were pre-pandemic, when the cost of living and wage costs will have increased. So we do have to expect that there will be some reduction in something to cover that cost. One of the things we really like about Iona are the varied dining options. Iona is all freedom dining across the ships. There's no set dining times, which means it's really flexible on when and where you eat. In the name of research, we did our best to try quite a few different restaurants on board the ship, and as we had our parents with us on this sailing, we did want to give them the full experience also. So whilst we did enjoy the main dining room and other included venues such as the Olive Grove and the buffet and Taste 360, we were also willing to spend some money on some of the specialty restaurants, and we did find that you can tell that there is an improved quality when you do that. Some of our favourite meals were in these specialities. We particularly enjoyed Sindhu and the Beach House.
When we booked the cruise, we also purchased the classic drinks package at the same time. This was 20% off at the time of booking. And then not long before we travelled, the drinks package actually went up. So we had quite a good deal. We know that drinks packages are not worth it for some people. However, we always get our money's worth out of them. The fact that you can drink unlimited soft drinks throughout the day soon makes the cost worth it. Even without the soft drinks, you only need to drink about 5 or 6 alcoholic drinks to make the cost of the package worth it. We were not too impressed with the classic drinks package on this sailing though, as on our 2 previous P&O sailings, we have splashed out and had the deluxe drinks package, and I feel like we got a bit used to it. I missed having a large glass of wine, and Laura missed the proper bottles of Diet Coke that you could get when you had like a Malibu or something. We also found that the range of cocktails that you could have were quite limited.
The entertainment on board Iona, as usual, was varied, and we would say we pretty much enjoyed most of the things that we saw. We particularly enjoyed Greatest Days, which is something we've seen before, but didn't lose its impact, and we still thought it was a fantastic show to go and watch. We also enjoyed the other headliner shows, Digital and Sky's the Limit, although we did prefer Digital to Sky's the Limit. And in terms of guest entertainment, we were treated to Odyssey, who were a really interesting band that we'd never seen before. They were an a cappella group with an electronic drum set, which was something really different and really good fun. I had everybody in the theatre really enjoying their music. We also enjoyed Harry Lineker. We have been lucky enough to see Harry Lineker perform on a P&O cruise previously, and we did enjoy the performances once again. Again, he sings a good variety of songs and he is very talented.
Along with the shows in the theatre, there is also lots of other entertainment on board the ship. We particularly like the Sky Dome shows, even though we were disappointed on the first night that we didn't make it to the show because of our rushed embarkation. We managed to see Tribu on the last night, which we have seen before, but our parents haven't, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. Also in the Sky Dome, there were 2 nights of silent disco, which we didn't actually attend because the queues were massive for the headsets, but everybody looked like they were having a great time. Around the ship, there was also live music from Pulse in the clubhouse and the Busker. The Busker performed in many places around the ship, including at Sail Away and in the atrium. On the first sea day, we went to the theatre and watched a quiz show called Wavelength, which was quite long, but in the end it was enjoyable. It was funny at the end. We also enjoyed the band in 710, and it's just a shame that we didn't get in there more often, but you can't do everything on one cruise. Our least favourite entertainment was probably We had experienced this on Arvia and we were keen to see how it came across on Iona. We found actually there was more audience participation this time with people dancing, but they just can't seem to get it right with what I think they're trying to achieve. Our absolute favourite part of the entertainment, however, was the limelight, where we got to see the fabulous Lee Mead. We all really enjoyed his show, and we were impressed with just how talented he was. We really enjoyed the mix of songs that he sang, from way back to his reality show to some of the musicals that he has performed in.
We are never disappointed by ports on a Norwegian Fjords itinerary, and on this cruise we enjoyed some of our favourites. We visited the ports of Stavanger, Olden, Hellesylt and Haugesund. We have been to all of these ports before, so we did know what to expect. However, we were travelling with our parents who had never visited any of these ports before.
We have always enjoyed Stavanger, as we find there's a good mix of the old and the new there. We have got fond memories of days when we've had rain and sunny days there. So we were delighted that we had a nice sunny day when we visited this time. We always enjoy taking a stroll around the old town, as we love looking at all the old buildings and catching that glimpse of the ship through the streets. The shopping area is always useful in case you forget something, and the streets are quite bright and vibrant and colourful. There are many bars and restaurants that you can sit at and enjoy a drink, and you can go for a nice stroll around the harbour areas. If you are there on a rainy day, there are plenty of museums that you can visit inside. You can also go on lots of excursions that take you to places such as Pulpit Rock or around the fjords.
Olden is not just a favourite of ours, but we know it's a favourite of lots of people's when doing this itinerary because it is just such a beautiful location. There are again lots of activities you can do from this port. We chose to do one of the bush trips to a glacier viewing point, which we really enjoyed doing, and it was a great activity for us to do with our parents. Again, we experienced pretty decent weather. We did have a bit of a rain shower, nothing that caused us too many problems.
Hellesylt is another beautiful place to visit. The stunning waterfall that you can see from the ship is definitely worth getting off for. We chose to only have a quiet day here and a stroll around. We walked to the Salmon River, where you can get great views of the ship, and then took in the very small town before getting back on board.
The final port of this sailing was Haugesund. We have been to Haugesund before, however, on our previous visit, we had absolutely torrential rain, so we didn't get to experience it to its full potential. On this trip, we had a beautiful sunny day. It was possibly the nicest weather we had all cruise, and it did make us see this port in a different light.
We even managed to get an ice cream.
There's plenty to do again in and around Haugesund. We chose to use one of the hop-on, hop-off buses, which took us on an interesting tour around the city itself and a bit further out to some of the other tourist attractions, such as a monument and the Viking village. The other fabulous part of this itinerary is the scenic cruising that you get to enjoy along the fjords themselves. There's some particular highlights when you're sailing into and out of Olden, and we would definitely recommend getting up early, even if it's a bit of a wrench for you, so that you do get to experience just the absolute beauty of it at its best.
The saddest part of a cruise is always disembarkation, and this was probably one of the smoothest disembarkations we have ever had. We chose to put our suitcases outside the cabin the night before, and we were very happy that you didn't have to put them out till before 2 a.m, which meant we could enjoy our night out and then get them put outside. Our meeting point was the theatre, and once we were asked to leave there, we did not stop. We literally walked straight out of the theatre on deck 6, disembarked on deck 6, picked up our luggage in the baggage hall, and then walked to where the coaches were. There were lots of helpful members of staff around, directing you to the right places and directing you to the right coach if that was how you travelled. The coach journey home was a lot smoother. There was a little bit of traffic, but nothing like our journey there.
In terms of value for money, we do think that Iona represents fairly good value for money. We paid £1,150 per person for an inside cabin for this 7-day sailing. This price was a select fare, which meant that we got to choose our cabin, and we also got a coach transfer included. We also had the drinks package included as part of this price. We did choose to pay for specialty restaurants once on board, which meant that we did have a bill to pay at the end of the cruise. However, it would be possible to do this cruise then without spending any more money. We could have saved some money by booking the saver fare on this sailing. However, as we were travelling with our family, We wanted to select our own cabin to make sure that we weren't too far away. We also thought that adding the coach tickets as part of the booking represented good value for money.
Overall, we had a great time on board Iona and really enjoyed being able to spend time as a family. It was very evident that there were lots of families on board enjoying each other's company and being able to enjoy the ship. We love the Norwegian Fjords, so it is an itinerary that we would never hesitate to book, even though next time we would like to try some new ports in Norway. We also have a bit of a soft spot for Iona, as she was the first ship we sailed on after the pandemic. There are some negatives, as we have said, about the amount of staff. However, if you are patient, it won't cause you a problem and you will have time to enjoy your holiday. We would definitely cruise on board Iona again, especially if the price is right, and we think it is an ideal ship to sail on if you are in a family group.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like and drop any questions you've got in the comments down below. Please also make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. You can also find us on social media by searching Sisters on the Seas.